Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Can somebody give me an amen in this joint?
Amen.
Welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, DJ, here with some amazing co-hosts. Sitting right there over my left shoulder is none other than, what is it? Symposium Divinorum? Is that right?
Divinorum. Symposium Divinorum,
DJ
yeah.
Kevin. Welcome
Hello,
back,
hello.
brother.
I'm just glad to be here. I just want to see these UFOs brought to justice.
And we're going to, Dave and
There we
Marianne
go.
are going to make that happen. Sitting below him is his creative partner, the incomparable and the amazing Akachi Chris Mullen.
I'm so glad to be here. I am so excited to talk to UAP-PD. They're backstage, and I just everybody just get your questions going because this is gonna be a fun time. So.
Yeah, I'm almost sorry you guys are here because I got enough. I'm just kidding. I got a lot of questions for these guys. Below me is one of the original gangsters of Calling All Beings. Some people call her of a study of UAPs. Other people call her Debs.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Debsy, how are you, love?
I'm ready to find out what's going on with the police and UFOs.
I can't wait. Without further ado, let us bring on our guests. And we're going to get hello to everybody in the chat, Jules and everybody. Thank you for being here. And let us give a very, very warm welcome to the one and only UAP-PD. Party people, put those hands together for Marianne, Robb, and Dave. Whoop, whoop. Give me an amen for the PD. Hi, guys.
Wow.
That was
an amazing
intro.
welcome. My goodness gracious.
You guys have groupies.
Yeah,
Groupies.
normally people just look at us and go, well, here they are. And that's pretty much it.
No way, man. We are very honored and delighted to have you here and had some great dialogue ahead of time. And, you know, you guys just have just an email alone with Marianne. You guys have such a great vibe. And we're honored that you would take of your time to join Calling All Beings and tell us about your experiences. So well, before we get into this, we do have a video that was created. So let me let Akashi.
Let me. This is crazy, you guys. Okay, I have to tell you. I got to tell you. So Kevin and I, we started coming to Calling All Beings, and then all of a sudden the show got posted, right? And we started getting pinged by like production companies and pitching us ideas for a show based on you guys.
Oh, wow.
And so they actually gave us a pilot for this, and that has been delivered to DJ, and he's going to play it now. So everybody get ready for this. Is a new concept that was pitched. So we want to know what you guys feel about that. So DJ, you want to take that?
You know, like the Allman Brothers said, ain't wasted no more time. Here we go.
The following series was loosely inspired by the real adventures of UAP-PDs
Dave Rich and Marianne Robb.
This is UAP-PD Blue.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Marianne.
And we are UAP-PD Blue.
Last time on UAP-PD Blue.
Multiple incidents, same description. Officers reporting the same thing.
Whatever it is, it's not random. It's targeting law enforcement.
We need to warn the others.
I'll check for more patterns.
UAP-PD, come in! This is Patrol Unit 7. I need assistance. I'm being taken by something out of this world!
Did you hear that? He needs us.
I think I see him! Step on it!
We got you!
Don't let him take him, Marianne!
Next time on UAP-PD Blue.
Tell me the truth. Did you frighten our men?
You can't handle the truth.
I am entitled to the truth. Have you been harassing our men? Did you or did you not harass our men?
You're gosh darn right I did!
Dave, send him back to Zeta immediately. Extraterrestrial sass is not acceptable.
Whatever's out there, we're ready for it.
And we've got your back.
I'm Dave!
I'm Marianne, and we are UAP-PD Blue.
Yeah!
So,
Great.
I think we need to make it happen. You guys could go Real Housewives. We could do UAP-PD Blue like Miami, and you could be like, oh, Miami Vice. UAP-PD Blue New York. I mean, it could take off.
Heck yeah. And you know what's funny? Is that type of patrol car you guys have? The agency we work for, we have a 55 Chevy.
Oh, that look like that?
No way.
I knew it.
Like that.
I knew
Okay,
it.
that's awesome.
That
Yes.
is amazing. That is so
By the way, that's Flair. I'm Fork, and we're Flair Fork Productions.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
They're so creative.
So,
Like they blow
back
me
to
away.
you, man.
You know what I mean? This is the kind of they do things that we can't. Oh yeah, Bia is in Curacao. One of our co-hosts. This is my co-host from True Crime, who's now getting into UFO. She's been sending me UFO stuff all week now. She's Bigfoot and paranormal, but she is local to that Karen Reed case. She's the one who got me the ins on all that stuff, and I went and met all the players and one of the police officers from Canton who retired and so forth. So, Dave and Marianne, I got to get this started. I'm really interested how you guys got interested in this topic.
Well, I'm going to start with that one. First of all, I have never seen anything, whether on duty, off duty. I'm an avid hunter. I fish all the time, and I still have never seen anything in the sky, on land, underwater. But the way we started UAP-PD was back in, I guess it was about 2022. I went to a MUFON meeting in Phoenix. Now, MUFON stands for Mutual UFO Network. And I went to a meeting, and they were talking about disclosure. Now, whether it comes or doesn't come, I don't know. My thought is it's not ever going to come, disclosure part. But we had a guest that was talking about disclosure and started talking about the military and talking about like airline pilots, where it's getting a little bit better acceptable for them to come forward and maybe share their encounters. So after the meeting, I was kind of thinking, well, not one word of law enforcement or first responders was even mentioned in the talk. So I went home. I was talking to a good friend of mine named Alejandro, or good friend of ours, Alejandro Rojas. If you've ever heard, Open Minds, Enigma Labs. And I was talking to him about, the disclosure and why aren't law enforcement officers and first responders involved in that, included into the disclosure? And he goes, that's a good question. I think you guys need to, you're a cop, so maybe you need to start investigating that. Well, I called Dave up that evening, and I explained everything about the meeting and all. And the first thing out of his mouth is, I can tell you exactly why law enforcement and first responders are not talking about this subject. And at this point, I'm going to let him take over the story about that.
All right. So first thing, I just want to clarify one thing. UAP-PD, it stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon. We don't just look into UFO matters. We actually consult with cryptozoology, paranormal, anything. So it's not just UFOs. Just want to make sure that everybody understands that. So if they have a story that's not UFO related, we still want to hear it.
And the reason I'm applauding that right now, Dave, is because of the fact that there is this sort of compartmentalization where some people study one, Bigfoot people. We've tried to put Bigfoot people and UFO people that are very intelligent to talk and like, hey, I don't know if I want to. And same, with paranormal. So I think
that's the wrong mindset.
It is
100% the wrong mindset because they're all related one way or another.
Right.
But to continue the story, so Marianne calls me out of the blue and is like, "Hey, why are police officers not talking about it?" And I tell her, "Yeah, I can tell you exactly why." So back in 2017, when I was working as a high school resource officer, the school that I was assigned at, it was April 8th, 2017. It was a Saturday. It was the day of prom. I show up at prom and the principal asked me, "Hey, did you hear about the 911 call that came in from the front desk of the school?" And I'm like, "No, why would there? It's a Saturday. There's nobody there." And he kind of laughs and says, "You need to call dispatch." So I call dispatch. I'm like, "Hey, was there a 911 call at my school?" Dispatcher just starts laughing and says, "Hey, you need to talk to this patrol officer." And I'm like, "Why won't anybody tell me about this call?" So I send a text message to the patrol officer. "Hey, did you get a 911 call at my school?" And his response is, "Dude, your school is blank haunted." And I'm like, okay. So at this time, you need to understand something. At that time, I was about as hardcore skeptic as you could believe. I did not believe in ghosts. I did not believe in UFOs, life on other planets, cryptids. There was a logical explanation to everything on April 8th, 2017. Things have changed. So I call him up because he sends me this text message and he proceeds to tell me this story. So at 4 minutes before noon, we get a 911 call from the front desk of the school. It sounds like a woman speaking in like a whispered tone. 911 dispatcher answers the phone, says, "911, what's your emergency?" And it sounds like a woman going, "I'm scared." Dispatcher's like, "What was that?" And it goes, "I'm scared." She goes, "You're scared?" And it says, "No." And then you hear the phone get dropped onto the countertop. So you hear like the plastic on the countertop getting dropped. And it's an open line now, which means it's just an open line. So for 14 minutes, the dispatcher is at, hello, pick up the phone. They dispatch officers to the school. So the two officers get to the school. Obviously, it's a Saturday, so it's locked up. There's nobody there. They have what's called a Knox box key. So they unlock the front door with this Knox box key, and they make entry. The two officers walk up to the front desk. One of them finds the phone on the counter, picks up the phone, has a conversation with the dispatcher. He's like, "Hey, this has to be the phone. It's the one that's laying here. It's an open line to you. We're going to search the school." So he hangs up the phone. This front building of the school that it was in, the only thing that's in there was the principal's office, assistant principal's office, counselors, the nurse's office, and then like a little supply closet area. So they go and they search the entire building and there's nobody there. The last room that they have to search is the nurse's office. So they go over to the nurse's office. They stack at the door because one's going to peel right, one's going to peel left when they go through the door because they don't know which way the room goes. As they open the door and push through, one peels right, one peels left. Something physically pushes their shoulders and spins them around and runs past them. And he's telling me there was nobody there. There was nothing there. We ran right out of the room and there was nothing there. And now again, skeptic.
Right.
So he's telling me this story and I'm like, right.
Who answered the phone?
Thanks. Bye. And I hang up the phone. And I was content to just let it go. The next Monday, so 2 days later is Monday, I walk into work and my sergeant comes up to me and says, "Hey, you know that 911 call at your school?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You need to investigate it." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, it's misuse of 911. So again, being the hardcore skeptic that I am, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe like a kid broke in and called 911 and then got out of there before somebody was there. Or maybe somebody tapped in." And remember, this is 2017. So this is before AI and Chat GPT and all of that stuff. So that didn't exist yet. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I need to do an investigation to make sure that some kid hasn't found a way to compromise the 911 system. What I didn't know at the time is that sergeant was a huge ghost nut. And what he really wanted was the former homicide detective, sex crimes detective who didn't believe in ghosts investigating something. So I do a full investigation. I pull the video from the front desk of the school. I pull the audio from the 911 tape. I send the audio out to be analyzed because I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's like a computer generated thing, something like that. So I send it to some people who are going to analyze the voice and tell me what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I take the security footage from the school. I get a copy of it, and I run it from, this phone call came in just before noon.
12 hours.
From 6 in the morning, I watch that all the way through till after the officers get there and after they do the search.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 sets of motion detecting lights, one in front of the desk, one directly over the desk, and one behind the desk.
Mm-hmm.
But even with them all turned off, you can still, because it's noon, you can still see clearly that there is nobody at that desk.
Mm-hmm.
At about 20 after 7, a security guard walks in the back room, goes and gets some supplies to make signs for the bathroom because they had some football event out on the field.
Mm-hmm.
She leaves. The motion detector lights stay on for 20 minutes, and then they pop off. 20 minutes, they pop off. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, the lights just over the desk pop on. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, there's no way to get to the desk without setting off the lights in front of it and behind it. So I don't see anything there. All I see is these lights pop on. I'm like, how did those get on? There's no way to get to it. It's literally, you either have to set the ones off behind it or the ones in front of it because there's a wall on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes later, the lights pop off. At 11:54 in the morning, when that phone call comes in, there's nobody standing at that phone. The video is not detailed enough to see the phone come off the cradle. But 14 minutes later, I see 2 shadows come up on the bottom of the screen, and that's the 2 officers entering through the door. I watch one go right over to the desk. I see him pick up the phone. I see him have a conversation. I see him hang up. I see them search. The nurse's office is at the bottom of the screen. I see the 2 of them stack up to go in. I see them go through the door and immediately run back out, looking around like they're looking for something.
So they heard something.
Came running out.
Wow.
So I watch all of this and I'm like, well, that's weird. But clearly there is a logical explanation to this. So I start down this whole line of thinking, I ran down every possible lead. I had the phone people come out and check the box to see if somebody tapped in old school. I tested everything from even if the phone had fallen off of the cradle on like Friday, how long before the line cuts out, which was 15 seconds. I ran every possible lead that I could get. And every time I closed one out, I was like, okay, well, then it's got to be this. Okay, well, then it's got to be this. This investigation took probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks that I was digging into this. And then finally I get to the point where I'm like, you know what? They went into the nurse's office, and that's when something physically hit them. I should go talk to the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into the nurse's office, and she happened to be the wife of a sheriff's deputy, and I'd known her for years now. So we had that relationship that I could walk in and kind of talk to her. So I walk in, and she's one of the, Marianne can attest to this, she's like got this bubbly, friendly personality, like what you would expect a school nurse to be like. And she's happy, friendly, go lucky. And I'm telling her, hey, do you know anything about this 911 call? The moment I mention the 911 call, she clams up. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of just walk away from it. And I'm like, I'll give it a little bit of time. I'm not sure what it is. So I give it about an hour, 2 hours. I go back in, I ask her again. And she's like, everything is fine until I bring up the phone call. And then she clams up again. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm like, I've been a cop long enough to know when somebody's hiding something. So I'm like, something's up. I don't know what yet, but something's up. So I give it a couple days, and I'm going to go talk to her again. While I was waiting for those couple of days, I get the results back from the 911 analysis. The guy looks at me and goes, where did you get this? And I was like, it was from the 911 call from the front desk of the school. And he's like, I don't know what you have here, but it's not a human voice, and it's not a computer-generated voice. He's like, I have no clue what this is.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And so all of my perfectly laid out plans are quickly falling apart. And so I go back to talk to the nurse, and I walk in there, and again, friendly, outgoing, till I bring up the phone call. The moment I bring up the phone call, she slams her pen down on the desk and says, fine, I'll tell you. And I'm like, tell me what? And she then proceeds to tell me that her entire life she has been followed by a ghost. There's been a ghost that like she moves from house to house. Everything will be quiet for 2 weeks and then everything kicks up at the house. And it's like your typical, what you would expect haunting behavior. They'll be sitting downstairs. They'll hear footsteps upstairs when they know there's nobody else home. Her husband has seen a little girl run by in the hallway. They did not have any little girls.
Wow.
Their dog will bark at nothing in the corner. They'll hear doors slamming. Her husband and her son, who's also a sheriff's deputy, both confirmed stuff like this to me, that, yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff happening at the house. So I look at her and I go, well, why didn't you tell me this like a couple days ago? And she's like, well, because 3 weeks ago, everything at the school stopped, or everything at the house stopped. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, then why are you telling me now? And she's like, because last night everything at the school started, or at the house started again. And I'm like, okay. So I do a premise history on the school. That 911 call was the third 911 call that came in over 3 weeks. It was the first one that they had a voice on. So it was the only one that officers made entry. So I'm walk away. I tell my sergeant, I'm like, dude, I don't know what this is. And you have that moment when cognitive dissonance kicks in and you start questioning your life. Well, it gets better because that's the incident. But the real reason that we created UAP-PD came a couple days later. When I got a phone call from a sergeant upstairs. And you know what I mean by upstairs?
Yeah.
He says, you come back to the station. I need to talk to you. Okay. So I go back to the station. The entire time I'm not thinking about this incident. I'm thinking, what the heck did I do wrong now? So I get into his office, and there are 2 computer monitors set up. One of them has the footage of the front desk of the school. The other one has an MP3 player. He hits play, plays all of the stuff, looks at me and says, you expect me to believe this? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't know what you expect to believe. I'm just telling you, this is what I found. And he basically accused me of making it all up. He accused me of getting the 911 dispatcher, the people who analyzed the phone, the people who gave me the video, 2 patrol officers, the principal of the school. He tried to accuse me of getting all of them together to formulate some elaborate hoax. And I look at him and I go, why would I do that? And he's like, I don't know, you tell me. And that was the moment that I really got less than pleased, because at that time in my career, I had received the Life-Saving Award, Meritorious Conduct, Distinguished Service, Distinguished Team Citation twice. This guy brown-nosed his way up to sergeant. And he's accusing me of lying. So a verbal exchange happened. And during that verbal exchange, some things were said. And I go storming out of the room. I'm halfway down the stairs and I realize what some of the things were that he said. And they were, if you continue to talk about this, you are going to get in trouble. So I had 6 years left in my career at that point. So I have a wife. I have 2 small kids at the time. And I did what I thought was best at the time, which was, okay, Dave, keep your mouth shut. Because at this time, I wasn't involved in UAP-PD. I wasn't involved in any of these types of things. I was still questioning whether it was real or not, even though I did this full investigation. And so I kept my mouth shut. And ironically, every year around Halloween time, the story would rear its ugly head. And I would look at the people and be like, dude, just shut up, because you're not the one that's going to get in trouble. Just shut up. So eventually I end up retiring, and Marianne calls me and I tell her that story. And weird things, for some reason, I still have the 911 recording and the security footage. I kept all of the information that I got. I don't know why at the time I felt the need to keep it, but boy, I kept it. So Marianne and I created this organization, not so much because of what I experienced, but because of what I experienced after the fact.
Right.
As a police officer, as a first responder, any first responder, you dedicate your life to trying to help people. Like there's an adage like, oh, I'll take a bullet for you. I'll take a bullet for you. In law enforcement, that's real. Like I would take a bullet for Marianne. She would take a bullet for me. Like I always joke around during our talks. I'm like, I don't think the Subway sandwich artist and the cashier have that same relationship. Right. But we have that relationship where we actually care about each other. So I realized if this happened to me, it's going to happen to other people too. So I tell this story to Marianne and Alejandro. Alejandro's like, well, you need to tell people this. And I'm like, at first I'm like, well, why? And he's like, because right now the leading theory is that all law enforcement is part of the government conspiracy to hide the truth. And I'm like, oh, hell no, we're getting told to shut up too.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I started working my way through that, and I realized, yeah, there are other officers, there's firefighters, there's first responders who have to be having this same situation happen. And it was horrible to sit there for 6 years and not be able to talk about it. You don't talk to your friends about it. You don't talk to coworkers about it. You definitely don't bring it up at work because you don't know where it's going to go. But now that I'm retired, they can't stop me from talking about it. And more importantly, they can't stop me from helping the people that are experiencing this. And so that's what we're all about, is we're trying to provide a safe place for firefighters, for police officers, first responders of any kind to come forward and talk. Because at the end of the day, they have all sorts of things in place. If you went out on a shooting, if you were on a traumatic injury call or a traumatic incident where a child passed away or something like that, there are things in place to allow you to get help, to talk to people, to get it off your chest. There's nobody in place to give anyone like that was in my position or the position of the people that we've been talking to. There's no place for them to go. And the reality is when you think about it, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just trying to get a lot out here.
Sure. Okay. Go for it.
The reality is your brain cannot tell the difference between whether you really saw something or you mistakenly identified something. The trauma that you suffer, if you really see a UFO or you just see a crop duster or a drone, but your mind thinks that, your brain can't tell the difference. So that level of trauma is the same, whether you really see something or you don't see something, and there's nothing in place to help people. So we're trying to do our part to take that first step towards helping people and just provide them that safe place where they can talk.
I totally understand what
Can I
you're
say,
saying.
it's wild to me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, DJ. I'm just.
I
go ahead.
I totally understand what you're saying, Dave, because I had a career as an aviator in the Air Force, and we could not talk about UFOs because if we did, you'd be taken off the flying schedule. They'd probably take away your medical clearance or send you for psychiatric evaluation, and that would be it. So it was very, very upsetting when you know something's real, you know something happened, and people say, "I don't believe you,"
and
I'm
that's
not hearing you.
Yeah, that's the most tragic part of it, because they really saw something, and they're getting dragged through. Like, you're getting dragged through the mud for telling the truth.
Right.
That's the part that's so frustrating about it.
Right. And
you didn't ask for that case. You
No.
signed that case. You didn't ask for that case, and you were a skeptic.
Yeah.
And you had to open your mind for that case.
Mm-hmm.
And you put yourself in a place to be objective. And look what you got. And you were told to, I mean, this is exactly why you do what you do. I'm sorry. I'm just like fired up because that wasn't right for you. It wasn't something you asked for, you know?
No,
so.
and it's happening to other first responders, and we have to help them because it's not right. You're 100% right. It's not fair.
Yeah, Brian King Sharp said, I'm in rural Georgia. You get a call that somebody has like a Bigfoot behind their house. You get a call, you go out there. What are you going to do? You're going to go out in the woods with your flashlight? I mean, you're like, so it puts first responders, and that's why kind of like they talk about these things need to be talked about. There needs to be training. This is what what those guys discussed on that law enforcement roundtable, is so that you know how to respond, so you don't feel stupid, or you're not made to feel stupid by your superiors and or colleagues. We had the same thing with we had Rich, excuse me, I kind of bit my tongue today, literally. Rich Germeau, he was a Washington State Police, county police officer, federal police officer at one time, and he was a local police officer, plus in the Marine Corps, he was police officer. And when he reported something, a Bigfoot walked right across the road in rural Washington. La Push. That's where he was at, La Push Road. And he was made to feel like a fool about it. Yeah. I mean, it was like, if this guy's not credible, who is? He's been a law enforcement officer on every level. I mean, come on.
One of the things that we talk about when we do a live stage presentation is what I do is I talk about what does it take to become a law enforcement officer. And I go through from the beginning of what agency you want to work for all the way up to where after your training and you finally get that set of keys and you're now a solo officer in your patrol car is over a year of just training. And of course, you continue training all through your career. But that's the problem of any officer or any first responder is you spend a good year or so in training for maybe 1 minute of seeing something and you think, oh my gosh, let me talk to my peers and maybe I can just talk to them and get they can help me, guide me through the situation I just went through. But what do? They ridicule you. They laugh at you. I mean, I know for a fact that Dave, just about 2 weeks before he retired, this is when I kind of started this UAP-PD thing and started putting on Facebook. Well, guys at PD saw that and started laughing at him and putting tinfoil hats at his locker. And what did he do? He called me up right away. He says, take everything off of Facebook now. I have 2 weeks left and I don't need this. And he's a 25-year veteran and he still was being ridiculed for something like this, where here we are, we're here to help officers. And no, all they cared about was laughing that he dealt with an alien or a ghost or whatever it was. And they didn't care. That's all they wanted to do is laugh at him.
It's a cultural problem. And right now I want to open it up. I want to make sure I get my teammates in here. So I'd like to get Kevin, Akashi, and then Deb. So go ahead, Kevin. What do you have for Dave or Marianne?
Yep. Give me.
Well, hi. It's great to hear from you guys. I actually had a humorous question, but we're on kind of a serious part of the conversation. So you mentioned basic training in law enforcement. I was wondering, do they prepare you for anything unexplained like this at all? Do they go over it briefly or anything like that?
Not whatsoever.
No, so you're going into this blind.
Yep. The closest you get is we get training in like unknown trouble calls, which really once you get there, you establish what the trouble is. But with these, it's like you don't ever establish truly what the trouble is. So when these things happen, is there a process? I mean, while you were still in law enforcement, is there a process of logging these events? No, we have some cases that we know did get reported and reports were written, like the Lumberton UFO sighting, like Val Johnson's sighting. There are a number of sightings, like even like the Amityville horror case. There are police reports from that, Travis Walton's abduction. But the majority of the incidents that an officer is going to find, he's going to get what I got, which is don't write a report, don't talk about it. Or before they even tell anybody, they're just going to be like, yeah, this is not a good idea. I'm just not going to say anything. And like we have stories of officers that have told us amazing incidents. And then they say, when the sergeant got there, I just said, oh, it was a TV, or, oh, it was a car passing by or something like that. Because it's almost out of like self-preservation to certain things. They look at it and they go, if it's not going to hurt anybody except me, then I'm going to keep my mouth shut, because out of that self-preservation, like DJ can attest to with being a pilot.
That's it. Now, hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. You
Okay.
appear frozen, but that could be a ET intervention here, but we can't hear you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I apologize. It sounds like I'm gonna fade in and out is where I'm at. It's not the best. So I apologize. I'm glad you can at least hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Did you want to comment on that, or are we getting ready for Akashi?
Actually, just real quick on talking about that is we're class A, or excuse me, we're A. What would you call that?
I don't know where you're going with this, so I don't.
Well, I mean, we should know what we're doing. We're like
we're first responders. Yes,
personality.
Type A personalities. Yes.
Yes, and we should know how to go into a scene and go in there and be able to solve that problem. We go into a domestic. We know we walk into your house. We're going to probably arrest somebody, and we're going to solve whatever issue that is. And if somebody needs to go to jail, they go to jail. When we have a sighting of whether it's maybe a ghost or a Bigfoot or a light in the sky, that's the thing is officers are dumbfounded. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. And that's it. Like Dave says, if we have a shooting or anything, there's a debriefing. There is no type of debriefing on, hey, I went to this house and there was this ghost thing, this some type of paranormal, and how do I deal with that? You're not going to do that. So you're stuck. It's stuck inside of you for the rest of your career. Or thank goodness for UAP-PD started. Now they have a place where they can come share their experiences and know that they are not crazy. Things like this do happen.
And it hurts. It hurts to be able to have to. The reason that some of these people who are involved in like UFO crash legacy programs and that are reverse engineering programs or retrieval programs is that they're having to harbor this. They're having to hold this in. And it's very difficult to do when from a moral standpoint, you feel like the American people or the world's populace should know about this. I haven't something I'll add, but I'm going to get Akashi and Deb's in there.
Thanks, CJ. So guys, this call, the original call that you were talking about, that case that got you started with this, Dave, this was in 2017. And obviously a lot of things, that was prior to October 2017 when the big stories in UFOs came out. And definitely over time, we're I always call this like a slowly boiling frog. We don't know that we're boiling until we get there. Things have changed. So yeah. I'm wondering from your perspective, are you seeing a change in how people are reporting, an increase in reporting, like some of the stuff that Ryan Graves sees with pilots? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes and no. What I mean by that is this. We have, in the 3 years that we've been together, we're close to 100 stories from all over the world. The furthest one away is from Australia, with a police constable who sent us video of something amazing out of her window. And so we've noticed an increase in first responders reaching out to us and talking to us about what they've seen. But I think the general consensus hasn't changed much. They don't feel that it's safe for them to just in a blanket method come out and talk about it. So what we do is we do a very strict staying anonymous. We let them dictate how far they're willing to let us go with their stories. So we have some stories, like we've got an amazing story, but it's associated with a active cold case involving a homicide that the officer says we can't talk about that story, so we can't talk about it. We have officers that have been like, oh, you can use my story, but I don't want you to use my name, so we don't use their name. We have stories where where the other end of the spectrum where it's like, oh, dude, I'm retired. You can use my name. You can use my my agency name. Do whatever you want to say as long as it helps. So we notice more people willing to come and talk to us, but we don't really notice that it's really being accepted outside of the agencies or within the agency themselves. And I think a lot of that stems from basically society, because every first responder agency, whether it's a police agency, a fire agency, is a reflection of the community that they are in. So like I told my story to a police officer who was on one of our reservations out here in Arizona, and he was absolutely floored that a sergeant would accuse me of lying. And he was like, that would never happen. And it started this great conversation about how on the reservation, things that are like star people, spirits, skinwalkers, creatures like little people, things like that are so interwoven in their culture. It's like us looking at each other and going, hey, I saw a payphone. You'd be like, oh yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I know that they exist. But for them, it's the same thing. And so and it's kind of like one of the things that we always joke about what do we want UAP-PD to ultimately finally do other than create this safe place for first responders? I was like, if we could just push that needle. And what I mean by that needle is just take it from, if a first responder says that they saw Bigfoot and they're automatically labeled as crazy, if we can make the automatic reflex be, oh, well, they saw something, as opposed to automatically branding them crazy, then I'll feel like I've accomplished something in this world. But right now, unfortunately, everybody still thinks they're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
So disappointing. Go ahead, Dave, DJ. It's just so disappointing because the topic is changing. We're talking about potentially doing some kind of disclosure, and yet that has not changed at all. That's hey, go ahead, DJ.
We are on the precipice of it. I mean, this is very timely, this discussion today, because we are on with Eric Burleson and Anna Paulina Luna and Jared Moskowitz and Tim Burchett. We are on the precipice of disclosure, and the president coming out and saying that he's given a directive. The fact that he's okay, I'm not going to name or even allude to somebody at work, and I'll tell you guys offline what I do for a living, but say, oh, I don't believe in UFOs. Like, dude, you picked a really bad time not to believe in UFOs. Because, by the way, the president just said that he just directed they release information. I don't think he's going to tell them to release information that doesn't exist about something that doesn't exist, right? That would be pretty absurd. So let's get Debs in here, and I'll go after, mate.
Yep. So I'm pretty excited about this topic because I have worked with other people on a safety plan for law enforcement in the past. People like Ben Hansen and Keith, who hopefully will be on here again. You guys may know Keith. Anywho, so my question is that, like, for next steps, you guys are at this point providing support. But there's just a plethora of information and reports, including in the government files from police officers. And now on YouTube, there's just a ton of body cam things happening that show paranormal activity. So I'm just wondering what you guys are doing with that huge body of information and next steps.
Well, again, it's kind of like we have to wait for the officer to come forward and talk to us, because any officer who posts something like that on YouTube or stuff like that, they are probably willing to talk, but we're finding that there's still a lot of them that aren't really, they'll post it, but that they're not really willing to come forward and talk, or it might not even be them posting it. Like, ironically, the security footage from my case, I ended up finding on a different officer's phone that he was giving to other people. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know how you got that. But it's one of those things, like we kind of try and just reach out to people as much as we can, first responders as much as we can, to provide that safe place for them. And if they want to talk to us about those things, we open it and we welcome it. We give them that space, location, that safe space and location to talk. And then we like to take these things, because we've got body cam footage, we've got recordings, we've got photographs from officers. And what we do is we use it in our like stage presentations and our podcasts and stuff like that to try and help other officers feel comfortable coming forward. Because again, the whole crux with first responders, it's that initial step. Like, we've done interviews with people that, like, I've had detectives that I worked with for years that sat on the other side of a table, and I have never seen him stressed the way he was stressed sitting across the table in Marianne's kitchen about to tell me about some sort of paranormal encounter he had. And this guy and I had been through stuff together. Like, we're talking chasing people through meth labs down dark alleys with guns and stuff like that. And I'd never seen him stressed the way that I saw him stressed right there. I then told my story, and you could literally see him kind of relax. Then he tells his story, and you could just see how the stress just melted off of him. So that body of work that you're talking about, we would love to get that stuff. We try to research it. We try to reach out to people the best we can, but it's still kind of more like we want them to feel comfortable talking to us. So we kind of put it out there and be like, hey, if you'd like to talk, let us know. And what we're going to do, we explain it right up front. This is the stuff that we want to do with this information. This is the stuff we want to do. We want to do it to help other people. And then, like I said, push that needle a little bit so that we can make it not quite so taboo to talk about.
Yeah, that I think there are some real cultural problems within both my group, the military, and within police department. There's some systemic and cultural issues that, because nobody should have been making, like, I get jocularity, and I get some locker room, back and forth, but there's nobody that should have been questioning either your integrity or trying to have a laugh at you, because being made fun of is not like cool. Like, okay, I get it. If you're going through SEAL training, you know, or Green Beret or Delta training, there's going to be a little bit of hazing, you know, when you get to your new team. I get that, but not like not with somebody who's a 25-year veteran of the police force. If he tells you something with the kind of record you have, you can put it in the damn bank.
Absolutely.
The other thing I was going to tell you, and this is kind of haunting, and it alluded to something that Julie mentioned earlier. She was talking about, I don't know, this case here, where police in Ohio had a call where they went out to a house and there was a child walking up the walls. And had you heard of that one?
I have only heard, like, basically what Julie has listed right there is all I've really heard about it. I haven't gotten any names or details. We're still trying to kind of follow up with a bunch of different things that we get. Because when we get tips, like I told Deb, we try to follow up with them, but it's such a huge body of work that there's two of us and it's hard to really follow up with it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of piecing those things together and trying to get to, but to me personally, even though we're called UAP-PD, Marianne is more of the UFO person. I am absolutely the paranormal stuff.
Awesome.
For me, it's paranormal. So anything demonic is right in my wheelhouse. Like that's the stuff that I love to play with. Not play with. That's
definitely.
That's
you don't want to come into your house.
No, not like that. My wife would when I first told my wife that I was going down this road, because she is devout Christian, she is leery. She's like, I love that you found something, but if you bring something home, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't think I plan on bringing anything home to begin with, but I definitely will keep that in mind.
Well, I got a couple things. First of all, I think, were you talking about the Navajo Rangers before, John and Stan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're really good
we've
friends
had
with
them on twice. We had
Yeah.
so much fun with those guys that they came back again.
They want. I love them. They're so awesome.
So little secret, and I can say because Marianne's not here. When John and Stan come to because they live in Arizona, but they live way up northeast Arizona. When they come down to the valley, they stay at Marianne's house. She has bedrooms for them.
Cool.
So they.
Oh my God!
They're actually going to be down here this coming week because we're speaking at the Phoenix MUFON meeting on Saturday, and they're going to be at. They were at our very first talk. And it's kind of a little funny story. Our very first talk at Phoenix MUFON ever. So we're talking like 3 years ago. The way that they build it with us and John and Stan. And John and Stan, since we've known them for so long, they knew what we were working on and knew what we were doing. So John literally takes me aside and he says, hey, here's what we're going to do. It's like a 3-hour meeting that they do. He's like, we're going to talk for 5 minutes and then we're going to introduce you guys and walk off. And you guys have the rest of the 3 hours to talk. And I was like, no way. And he's like, absolutely. And they did. They came out, talked for like 5 minutes, said, we really want you guys to hear what these guys are talking about, introduced us. And then we talked for the remainder of the meeting. And it was phenomenal. And John is actually the part that's funny. All of the stuff that I know about Native American culture, their spiritual beliefs, all of that stuff, I learned from John. Because one of the things that we always talk about is since we don't, like you were saying, we don't compartmentalize. We don't just work on UFOs, just work on paranormal, just work on Bigfoot. We've kind of had to force ourselves to become jacks of all trade because at the end of the day, I don't know what that police officer, what that firefighter, what they're going to tell us, what their story is. So we have to kind of have a working knowledge of all of it. So John was one of the first people that we reached out to try and learn that stuff. And we've had some amazing conversations and he's given us some incredible information. So it's crazy, the weird network of people that we've encountered, and like Mark D'Antonio, James Keenan.
Oh, I love him. Yes.
Mark is another one of our really good friends. James Keenan is working on a project with us from Mystery Blind Frog Ranch. Every once in a while I stop and I just go, man, we have really accumulated a weird group of friends.
That's that. You know what? But that means because we're all weird, which makes it normal. This is normative behavior, amongst people like us, people who have a life outside of this, but we know this to be true and we just don't deny it. And for that, in some circles, I guess we're weird, but okay, call me weird. That's fine.
Hey, there's no such thing as normal, period.
Yeah. Well, I hate to speak in absolutes, but there are different people would associate, what normative thoughts and behaviors are based on what they know or what they're ignorant of, or their cognitive dissonance in some cases. And tell John and Stan we said hello, the crew from Calling All Beings. I think they'll remember us. And the other thing I was going to ask you, that I don't know if this is the same case that Julie's referring to here, and then I'll get to my question. This one is about Indiana, and I heard this, 2 law enforcement officers that are UFO interested talking about this case, and it's shocking, but essentially they showed up to a hospital because there was a problem with a male nurse, and they thought, okay, this guy might be possessed. And when they arrived, he had, first of all, his neck was turned around the wrong way. So he's looking at them. Yes, you know this case?
Well, that's a clue. When their head is turned around the wrong way, that's usually time to create a little distance.
Oh, he had thrown several people off of him when they tried to restrain him. I don't remember how it ended, but I mean, for Marianne, being that you've just come back, and welcome back. How do you handle?
I am so sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. This happens. I mean, it's happened to me as the host of the show. I had a DEA agent and a retired Albuquerque police officer and another co-host on, and basically they ran the show when I got kicked off the internet. So luckily the DEA agent was a really good host and interviewer. That was about something that happened at the Mass State Police Academy, where a guy was killed during training. He got a broken neck in what they called boxing training, and now 4 officers have been indicted in that case. Oh
wow!
Mass State Police Academy, yeah. Enrique Delgado Garcia was the trainee. But anyway, Marianne, how do you handle a case like that? You arrive at the hospital. There appears to be a male nurse in the break room that appears to be possessed. How do you handle that situation?
Well, I got to say, if I did that, if I went to the scene, being part of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, and the things that I know now, I would basically, it would be tough. You would just try to isolate that person. Mm-hmm. And I tried to talk to him. It wouldn't freak me out because of being part of MUFON and being part of this, the community of paranormal and UFO and everything else. But as just say, I was just a regular police officer and went to a scene like that. All I could say is it would be dealing with a mentally ill person. Now, it freaked you out, mm-hmm. but you would have to, in your police training is, okay, this is a mentally ill person. Let's just talk to them, not down to them, not above them, but to them, to see if maybe we can get them out of their, I guess would be a trance. Mm-hmm. And just, again, isolate them, get everybody back, and just be on edge if somebody like that started charging. Unfortunately, we would have to use the force necessary to stop that person. And if that means, shooting them, that's a possibility. But we would just try to talk to them to see if we can talk them out of that. I would call it a trance. Right. But that's about all anyone be able to do at the time. Go ahead, Dave.
So yeah, when you're dealing with any type of mental illness like that, you're going to want to establish communication. But the one thing that you have to remember whenever you're dealing with somebody like that, who could be mentally infirmed or could be something else, is you have to remember that they're dictating the way that conversation goes. So one of the things that you always want to do is you ask things like, are you hearing any voices in your head? Mm-hmm. And if they say yes, then you say, okay, cool. You don't say, no, you're not. You say, okay, cool. Do me a favor. If they tell you to do something, can you let me know first? And don't ever try to say that the voices aren't there. You want to make sure that they know it. I, in that situation, would probably throw something in there that would probably get me yelled at by a sergeant. But if it's truly like a demonic possession thing, I'd throw a little bit, hey, Jesus loves you. You know that, right? And then see what happens. Because if it's somebody who is just mentally handicapped, they may not react at all. But the moment, if it's somebody that is possessed, you start talking about God, you start talking about Jesus, you might see a reaction.
Right.
Now, what you do from there is going to dictate a lot. But that's what you got to do. You got to roll with the punches. But the first thing you got to do is establish that baseline and make sure that they know that you're not per se a threat to them. And that's why you never want to like minimize what they're going through. You always want to kind of be like, hey, if you're hearing voices, please let me know what they're saying, because I'll try and help with what I can and try and get them to that point where they're not going to hopefully do something like charge or some sort of act of violence.
I can't remember how they resolved. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Marianne. I don't remember how they resolved it. I think they said he came back around, but it was so scary. I remember where I was and what airport I was in when I heard that story. I'm sorry, Marianne, please, you were going to comment.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say that's where we would love to be able to get with all agencies around the country, around the world, and to give them some training on to how to handle, whether it's a light in the sky or something like that, what happened in Indiana. And make officers go, okay, well, if this happens, this is how you might want to handle it. But just a normal officer out there, they'd be like, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah. I mean, if someone's head is turned around backwards.
Yeah. We would love to be able to get some training to folks.
I had a case with a guy who was on bath salts, and you would think he was possessed, but it was all just bath salts.
Okay,
and
well, that's good.
Yeah, he told me he was the devil, but he also told me he was Jesus, and he also told me he was P. Diddy, and he wasn't any of them. So that's how my first clue that I think it was something more.
Bath and Body Works. It's very dangerous, folks.
Yes,
don't
go in there.
Go in there lightly.
Bath salts are bad. Don't bathe in them.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm going to ask this one to Marianne first, then Dave, then I'm going to go on to Kevin and let him get in there. I'm just going to say a word, and I want to get your reaction, your 1 minute reaction to this word. And I'm going to say the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Well, I believe they're out there. I want to say they're not an animal, but I believe they are an interdimensional creature that they do come in, they pop in to our world. They do whatever they're looking, if they're looking for something or they're just studying us. And then when they get frightened or if they're done with whatever they're doing, they pop back out and just go into their own whatever universe they came from. I just think they pop in and they pop out. That's why there's no evidence of any type of Bigfoot or Sasquatch anywhere.
Yeah, it's a very perplexing. They have this paranormality, this supernatural capability, and the association with the orbs is quite bizarre. But yeah, I absolutely believe that people are seeing them all over the place, including Julie, our moderator. Dave, Bigfoot or Sasquatch, your thoughts?
My thoughts are similar to what Marianne and what you're saying, DJ. I think they're interdimensional. I have a unique take on it, though. And that is, I don't think they control when they come through and when they go out. I think it's almost accidental. And the reason I think that is whenever they're seen, they always kind of look surprised, like startled. We know that there are stories of like a snow-covered field, and then footprints will start like halfway through the field and then disappear. And there's no way they can get to the tree line, almost like it didn't try to show up and then disappear. It just happened to. And so the way I like to think of it is, I think, what if their dimension is like what if our dimension is a highway, and their dimension is also a highway, and every once in a while you get highways that cross. And when you approach that highway, you can see the cars on the other highway. But as you get further away from the highway, you don't see them anymore. I think it's similar to that. Like, they don't really control as much as accidentally end up in our area and then accidentally end up back out. But people are seeing something. And it's just, the reason I think that, like I said, is we've got like all these weird stories about they like, I surprised them, they weren't there, and then when I turned the corner, they were gone. It's like, it's almost like when they get stressed, it pops, boom, they're gone. So
if you could ask a question in English that they would understand, what would you ask?
Where are you guys from?
That'd be a good one. Okay, Kev, go ahead, take it away, my friend.
Well, speaking of Bigfoots, I'd like to push back on that multidimensional theory. What if they're not hyperdimensional? What if they're lesser dimensional? I have a theory. Maybe they're 2D. Now you see him. What if they're completely flat? Right now you see a Bigfoot. Oh, he's gone. Oh, now you don't anymore. What do you think about that one? I'm writing a paper on this, actually. I have the math. No AI help at all.
Yeah. The only question I have then is, why are their footprints three-dimensional? When we find footprints on the ground of them, they do plaster casts of them. So, I mean, I guess that would work if it was two-dimensional, like two-dimensional this way, I guess. But it seems to me like when Jeff Meldrum, unfortunately, passed, rest in peace, but he had all of those different plaster casts, and he would talk about the heel ridges and the curvature of the toes and things like that, which would be my only question. If they were two-dimensional, would they truly have, and I don't know, I'm not a biologist, I'm definitely not as cool as Jeff Meldrum was, but would they have that curvature of like the foot and the heel and the sides of the toes?
Well, they would.
Kevin's
If
the
piece of paper was curved. If it was curved, the piece of paper was bent, you'd have, it'd be bent into our 3D realm. I'm totally making this up as I'm going.
He's messing. He's doing Kevin stuff. He's like, here's my paper. Go ahead, Akashi.
All right, you may move on to Kashi. I have no further questions.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
How do you follow that? I just don't even know how to follow that. I mean, I got a beanie. There. Okay. So I have a question. So have you seen? I am very curious though. So we got UFOs, or let's call them the traditional UFOs, like the lights in the sky, the orbs, the metal spheres, right? So you got Bigfoot, and then you got paranormal. Are you seeing a trend in the number of reports in any one particular area? Is there, is it just people talking? Do you see anything, any patterns to build from?
Yeah, we're seeing more. We're getting a lot more paranormal stories from officers and first responders. I want to say that's about the biggest category that we're seeing is the paranormal.
Wow.
Like Dave, is there?
Could you share something that you found intriguing to tag up on Akashi's question?
Well, Dave must have froze. I wasn't sure. We have, what's interesting is a lot of the paranormal cases that we've gotten are off the Indian reservation. We have gone, we have, but the officers have spoke about this one area on the Indian reservation that is a mission. And there are numerous reports from officers in this one area of the mission. And one of the really cool stories that we've had is this officer and his field training officer were driving past the mission and noticed that the front door was standing open. This was probably 9-10 o'clock at night. So they said, okay, let's stop, see what's going on, make sure nobody broke in. to the church there. And so they get in, they walk in, they notice that there's about 3 or 4 cement blocks that are stacked up on the front of the outside of the front door. So they go into the mission, they check everything, and it's a very small little building. So it takes them just a couple of minutes, check, there's nobody in the building. They're like, okay, let's go ahead and secure the front door. Now the front door opens in. So he says, let's secure the front door. We'll go out the back, and then we'll let somebody know in the morning that takes care of the mission that the front door was open. There's looks like the lock was broken off. So it's okay. So they take the bricks that were the front of the church. They bring them in. They shut the door. They put the bricks behind the door to keep the door shut. They exit through the back door of the mission, and they were able to, it's a double lock there. So they were able to lock the door, shut the door. As they walked around from the back, they walked around to the front. That would maybe take 10 seconds, 11 seconds to do that. As they walk to the front of that mission, back again, the door is standing wide open, and all of the bricks are back out at the front of the church. So both officers look at each other and say, we're gone. We're out of there. They got back into their patrol car and they took off. They were not going to go back inside. But that's kind of one of the stories that we have. Dave, do you have any other good ones other than your Campo story?
Well, one of the things I wanted to touch on, Akashi, when you were talking about, have we noticed an increase? When you say noticing an increase, part of it, I don't know if there's more activity or just more people willing to come forward and talk about it. A lot of our stories are a little older, but we do have some as recent as 2023. But I think that as time progresses, people become more willing to speak about it, and then they come forward and talk to us. So it looks like there is a ramping up of activity. I don't know if it's necessarily a ramping up, as maybe it's always been there and just more people are comfortable talking about it. But one of my favorite stories that we have is probably it was another officer out on one of the reservations south of Phoenix. This is a UFO story. He's out on patrol driving through this kind of like unincorporated area south of this area called South Mountain. Ironically, in Phoenix, we have South Mountain, which is south of the city. Go figure. So he's driving south of South Mountain, and he sees these 4 lights flying in the sky, and they look white. And they're zipping all around, and he's looking at them and he's like, those aren't airplanes. He's like, I don't know what those are. I'm going to try and figure out how to get over there. So he ends up going down these dirt roads back towards the backside of the mountain to try and get a better look at them. And as he's coming up, he sees one of the lights kind of starts moving a little erratically, and then he sees it kind of come down towards the ground. And so he's able to get close enough to it that he can see it, but he's still a good distance. We're talking 400 or 500 yards away from this thing. But he says as it came down, it changed color from white to what looked like blue. So he gets out of the car and he pulls out his cell phone and he takes pictures of it. And he actually gave us the pictures. And the interesting thing about the picture is in the picture, it's green, not blue. And he's like, I'm telling you, it was blue when I saw it, but it was green in the film. But here's the thing, being hardcore investigators that we are, I'm looking at this picture and I notice certain things. I notice a reflection of this object in the hood of his patrol car, even at that distance. So I'm like, if somebody's going to hoax this, they're not going to think to put a reflection in the hood of the car. Also, when you zoom in on the picture, because he took multiple, when you zoom in on one of the pictures, you can literally see the light reflecting off. There was a little shack out there and like a telephone pole, and you could see the light reflecting off of that. And he's like, it's down there for about 30 seconds. The other ones are like kind of hovering above it, but still at a distance. He's like, all of a sudden, I don't know if they got it fixed or something. He's like, it looked like the other 3 were kind of like watching over it, but then it shot back up to where the others were, and then all 4 of them shot off north of the mountain. And he's like, I get back in my car, and then I get a radio call from another officer north of the mountain who's like, hey, dude, I just saw 4 lights come flying out of your zone. Did you see those? And he's like, yeah. So the thing that I love about that story is he gives us the pictures. We can verify that it's not faked. They're not faked pictures. They're not artifacts. They're not tricks of the light. They're not something that was put in the film after the fact. And we have another officer in a different location independently confirming that he saw these lights flying away.
Yeah, I wanted I was just looking for something. I wanted to bring this up on screen because I know as soon as I talk to you about it, Sarah, our moderator, is going to say, DJ, show the video. But this is from 2013, and there was a guy named Dan Warren who's pretty famous in the community as kind of like a TikToker and so forth. We've known Dan for years. He shared with me a channel that only had 2 videos on it, both from 2013. And what I want to explain to you is there's a guy driving in his car, and he has like some sort of a dash type cam, and you can see that he's focusing, or he has the phone in his hand, and you could see a UFO out the windscreen, right? So he stops. He's on a dirt road. As the craft gets closer to him, he exits the car and runs. He turns his cell phone back and points it towards the car. The car's lights are still on, right? Mm-hmm. The UFO now comes and is hovering over the car. But the type of light that the UFO uses to assess the car in some way is a type of light that I'm not familiar with. And being, my job in the Air Force, I did special ops aviation. I got like 2,000 hours of wearing NVGs, very familiar with different light sources, and light sources are a big problem when you're trying to fly on NVGs. So, or different aircraft lighting. There are different types of lighting we use on different parts of the aircraft to achieve a different goal, if you will. This light looked particulate. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a spotlight shining down on the car that would illuminate the whole car. It was kind of like a whitish, bluish light, but you could see almost like particulates inside of that light that looked like it was scanning. It looked very Star Trek-ish, if you will. It looked really weird. I've never seen a light like this in my life, and it certainly wasn't meant to illuminate the car. I can tell you that for sure. So I will find that video and I will share that video with you. But
yeah, I haven't heard of that. So
I will share it with you. This person has never put out more than 2 videos, which is a good thing, right? If they had like several dozen videos, you're like, oh, this person's probably like making videos, and it's already more than a decade old. Yeah. I want to get Debs in there, and then we have a question from Rose in the chat. So Debs, please go ahead, ma'am.
So obviously I don't always get the opportunity to ask police officers about some of the sensationalized stuff that has been in the media, and I want to know your opinion about a couple
Sorry.
So, if you could, I'll just go with 2 of them. The Las Vegas 9-foot tall beings in the backyard, and the New Jersey drones / UAPs.
Well, Dave, I'll let you do the drones. I'll take the Vegas.
Okay.
No. Again, guys, I want to apologize. I've been going through my phone and my computer for this show. Thank you for all your patience with me. I'm at a conference, and as you can tell, I'm in a hotel room, and the internet's very spotty. So I just want to apologize tremendously on that. Okay, Vegas. First of all, remember like what we were talking about, an officer goes to, say, the hospital, and you see this person with his head spinning and all that. What do? Well, this is kind of the same thing with Las Vegas. Here's officers getting called to a house that supposedly has 9-foot beings in the backyard. First of all, the body cam they have of that light shooting across the sky, it was a meteor. I thought that was the greatest thing. I don't think anybody, I mean, my 34 years as a police officer, having body cam on, I've never caught anything really cool. That officer, that's amazing video. But when the officers get to the house and these folks are telling them, yes, there's this person in the back and all this other stuff, and you can see the officer's face like, what do we do? What do we do? Well, they treated it like an unknown trouble call or possible trespasser. They were amazing. They didn't laugh at the folks. They didn't have these weird looks on their face when the body cams of, check this person out, this is weird. No, they went back there. They probably checked out the area. They were actually in the street stopping cars, passing by. Hey, did you see anything? Do you see anything? So they did a very good investigation on this. Now, we, what was it, about a year or so ago, we did Coast to Coast with George Knapp. And we talked about this case. And he even says, because him being a journalist, he went to the house to try to talk to these folks. He really did a good investigation. And he even said it was a hoax. There supposedly was nothing in the backyard. These folks, I guess, just up and moved, and there's no more. There's no evidence. They're not even anybody to talk to anymore. I did go to Las Vegas. I was talking to a friend of mine who is a retired commander with Las Vegas Metro, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, I would like to talk to those officers and just get their feeling of how they, when the call came in and how it was handled." And he said, look, the command staff is sick and tired of this case. They're sick and tired of people talking about it. Don't go, because you're not going to be able to talk to these officers. So just leave it alone and don't do anything about it. So I commend the officers getting this call and not knowing, like, a UFO or an alien. What do we do? They were very professional. And even the dispatchers, they were very professional. And but as what we've been told, it was just a hoax.
We believe it was put out there as a ruse because it came on the heels of the David Grush interview, and they wanted to draw fire away from the veracity, which is extraordinarily high, of David Grush and his bona fides and the claims that he was making. So there was one in Miami at a mall, and then there was this one. So drones in New Jersey.
The one thing real quick before we touch on New Jersey, the one thing that I've always felt really bad about that is what Marianne talked about with that meteorite that was caught on body cam footage. That was an amazing catch. Astronomy wise, that was an amazing catch. And unfortunately, everybody kind of glosses over it for the hoax side of it. But it's like, do you know how rare it is to catch a meteorite that clear in video, like entering the Mark D'Antonio and I, we've talked about this. It was amazing catch. And I really feel bad that nobody's really focusing on that, because astronomy wise, that was amazing. But it kind of gets forgotten about. The New Jersey thing, the drones, we haven't really had anybody talk to us about the drones. The most that we've been able to get is they still think it's government, like some sort of government activity. They were testing out different types of drones, something like that. Is that true? I don't know. Unfortunately, like, we try to base our information off of what we can get from first responders, and we unfortunately haven't gotten anybody who has talked to us about the New Jersey drone sightings. That's the thing. And then that's the worst part about things like that is it is a plausible explanation to say that it could have been a government military drone, but unless we had some sort of independent witness, somebody that we could verify, somebody that we can trust, we can't really say, hey, well, it was definitely this, it was definitely that. So again, unfortunately, as far as that's concerned, we don't have any independent witnesses or anything like that we can speculate on.
No, but it's real interesting. I'm at the Sierra Vista Supernatural Festival down here in southern Arizona. And just before I came on the show and came back to the hotel room to do the show, Mike, Rick Secker, he was just speaking about the drones. And he was saying that during that time, what was it, about a week or two that this was all happening, everybody kept focusing on New Jersey. But supposedly these sightings were happening all over the world. And I did not know that. And he's saying that everybody's saying it's the military is putting these out. It's military drones. And what I was getting from him is that maybe it's a little bit more than the military. Would it be a little bit from a different galaxy or maybe something we can't explain? So let's just call it a UFO because it is unidentified. But he was saying, and I did not know that, again, everybody kept saying New Jersey. But what he just said was it was actually happening all over the world, and still nobody can explain exactly what those lights. I mean, here, what was it, about 2-3 weeks? And now we don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
I can speak to this one because this one is in my area of expertise. And I actually got people from the Karen Reed case, including some retired PD, were like, hey, DJ, what the hell, you know, because it scares them. It's like, is this real? And I'm like, I gave them my opinion based on videos that I saw and also seeing the law enforcement officers from Ocean City, New Jersey, their interviews with those guys. And then Lou Elizondo basically came and said the exact same thing that I said. What you more than likely have is actual UAPs that are flying, and then you're getting confused because there are police, FBI, Department of Homeland Security, etc., agency XYZ drones that are up looking at what the anomalous craft are to see what the hell is this. Well, if I want to see them, how the hell am I going to see them if I don't launch a drone to go and look at them? But if I'm looking at that, I know what that is. That is a quadcopter DJI drone that may cost $5,000 and has a runtime of 30 or 40 minutes, etc., etc. But there certainly were, and what people were describing, there aren't SUV-sized drones that are silent that we have, and it wasn't China, and it wasn't Iran, and it wasn't some other country, and it wasn't the U.S. government. Certainly flying over Picatinny Arsenal, which is a top-secret facility, and at the same time, what Marianne was alluding to is this was happening at Lake and Heath in Mildenhall, which is a place that I was stationed over there in the UK, RAF Lake and Heath, RAF Mildenhall, and just today, by golly, a video comes out of an in-cockpit video of an F-15 pilot who was sent out to intercept those drones that were hovering for 8 hours. What do you have that's going to hover for 8 hours over RAF Lake and Heath? What about when they did it at the first fighter wing in Langley, Virginia, and shut down the flight line there for 7 or 8 hours that you have craft hovering over there? So obviously there was something, you know, anomalous that was occurring. And then there were prosaic, terrestrial, known technologies that were up taking a look at the anomalous technology, as you would.
Definitely.
So that's what I believe. How many? I don't know. But certainly there were some that when people say, I saw an SUV-sized thing floating over my house that was silent and had weird lights on it that don't look like an aircraft and don't look like even the lighting that drones are required to have per FAA regulations. So yeah, I think that's, I've seen some really weird ones too. There was some lady who was, young lady who was filming over the Doral Golf Club in Florida down there in Miami. And we had talked about this on the show before. It looked like an orb, kind of like that Aguadilla, you know, where it's not quite a defined shape, and it morphed into something that looked like a fighter aircraft, but the lights were shining down, and aircraft don't have lights that shine down. It was really weird. That she go, watch, there's another one. Look, it's gonna morph into another shape, and it did that. Yeah, I don't know of any terrestrial technology that can do something like that. So, yeah, the paper and what Flair has. Thank you, Flair. You got the next. Let's see. We're getting pretty close to the end here. So let's get one more round of questions for Marianne and Dave. Marianne needs to have fun at this UFO symposium. After all, we want to make sure she has a good time. So go ahead, Kevin. Let's do our last round here. Oh, wait. I had one question from the chat. Forgive me, Kevin. I didn't mean to head you off. This one's from Rose. Have you guys, in terms of paranormal, Dave, have you heard about black-eyed kids in the woods, that kind of thing?
Yes, I have.
Talk to Rose.
Rose, don't open the door. That's the first thing.
And don't go towards the sound.
Don't open the door. So yeah, from what I have heard about the black-eyed children is that they are entities that are they try to gain entry into a house and do horrible things, and they don't end up like they can't enter of their own free will. They have to be allowed in, and so they like most of your demonic, most of your evil things are going to try and take a persona or an appearance of something that's harmless. Children is the first thing that comes to mind. So if you see like a child, or you hear like children laughing or children whispering, the sound of people playing, like kids playing, you got to be careful when you're in situations like that, because they might be more than what you think. So these black-eyed children are exactly that. They are entities that are portraying themselves to be children in hopes that you're going to come to the door, look out the window, see a child and be like, oh, this child needs help. I'm going to open the door. Oh, come on in. What's going on? And then once the come on in happens, then it's all over, because now they have access. So they are very dangerous. They are very scary. I believe personally that they are more of an evil entity, more of like a demonic entity than anything else. I have never seen one, and we haven't had any officers report that phenomenon, but I have heard about them through other sources outside of first responders and things like that. And so that's what I'm basing my advice on, is definitely do not open the door, don't fall for it.
That's the best advice, what Dave just gave you, that you're going to get today. I'm sorry. Kev, and by the way, before I close, I'm going to ask Marianne if she and Dave are willing to go on a Bigfoot expedition together, but we're going to get to that. Kev, you go first.
Man, I'm hearing just a lot of criminal activity. That's all I'm hearing from you guys talking about these cases, and I really think, we need to lock these things up. Just lock them up. The black-eyed children, doorbell ditching.
Lock them.
You've got Bigfoot. He's disturbing the peace with his howling, his knocking on the trees. So I'm sorry. Exactly. Once these cases, once they move past arrest and into systems, charges filed, hearings set, outcomes decided, everything usually settles into, a structure that people recognize. Judges, juries, custody, routine. Is there a standard court system in place yet? And once they're in custody, what do these facilities look like on a day-to-day basis? Meals, yard time, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you're going to have locked up aliens. You're going to have Bigfoot. I don't know what y'all's plans are to deal with that.
First off, you have to remember that they're two-dimensional.
That makes it even tougher.
All of the facilities are two-dimensional. So to counteract your two-dimensional Bigfoot.
Wasn't it Bigfoot? Don't they like beef jerky? Aren't we? That's what we're supposed to feed them or something?
I would think so, Marianne. I think you got to get a whole bunch of jack links, but I think they're omnivores. Obviously, they eat berries. People see them. When Julie saw hers in rural Indiana at the end of her cul-de-sac, there was a field there. I think they were picking berries. So that's very common. People see them eating. They're omnivores. So, yeah. Akashi.
Again, how do you follow that? Anyway, I keep getting set up, man. But seriously, so by the way, this has been just fascinating conversation. The chat is just really excited about this, and we so appreciate this. But so wanted to ask you guys, as far as the growth of the organization, right? So right now, you guys started in Arizona. Do you have other chapters? Where do we see UAP-PD going? As far as growth, people start chapters out there, and how can we help you?
Well, we would love that. Right now, we're still growing. It's just the two of us. We do have a support team here in Arizona, a husband and wife team, Jesse and Gwen Irie. They do help us out if we do go do an investigation. But pretty much right now, it's just Dave and I. We would love, I know there's people from other parts of the country that have contacted us. Hey, how can we help? How can we help? Right now, we ask if you're an officer, if you know of any other officers, if you're still on the job, if you can just share our website with them and have them come forward and share their encounter with us, we would love it. Unfortunately, Dave, again, he's still working because he still has a young family. I am retired. And what I tell folks is if you have an encounter, yet you don't want to talk over Zoom or over the phone, and you want us to do it face to face, I will travel wherever I need to go and get the encounter, talk to the folks, make them feel comfortable. Yes, we are cops. I promise that. And let them share their stories with us. Hopefully we can start other chapters later on, but I would say it's going to be at least a year or two. We still getting our feet wet and getting everything underneath us. The way we do everything on our own dime. When I just went this last year, I went up to Utah to get a Bigfoot case.
Wow.
A retired police officer. Again, he didn't want to talk to me over the phone. He wanted me to go up to Utah, which I did. I got in my vehicle and off I went. Again, on our own dime, and we will do that. We sell these really cool T-shirts. We have merchandise, coffee cups, hats, challenge coins. We do have those for sale. And anytime that somebody buys one of our items, it just helps us with fuel, hotel rooms, or whatever we need to get to wherever we need to go to get a story from someone.
Mm-hmm. What could be more fun as a retirement job than what you're doing, Marianne? I mean, this has got to be the best.
This is neat. I got to say, I guess and you hear this from a lot of people that are retired. You're more busy. You're busier now than you were when you were working. But I love to be able to go places and meet with these folks and get their stories. And like the Bigfoot, he took me out to the area. I was able to take pictures of evidence of a Bigfoot, where they were, what they do with trees. It was amazing. I've never really dealt with Bigfoot before, but boy, am I learning a lot of things about that.
It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. And even though I've never seen one, I've told people I'm as positive because there's people that I've interviewed that I would trust the way I would trust. If you or Dave told me something, I'm taking it as that's true. Somebody would have to prove to me that what you've said is not true, in fact. And I feel the same way about other folks that I've met that have had Bigfoot encounters that I find to be very trustworthy, even though I personally have never seen one. But I'll tell you what, I could send you some footprints that you're going to be like, gee. So, and that was in Florida. So Boston Bia says, I can vouch for that, DJ. Let's get Debs in there with a last question.
First of all, I think you guys should talk to Bryce Sable or the History Channel and definitely actually get a show. That'll definitely help pay for some of these travel expenses. But the question I have is, obviously, in the line of work that you guys have been in, you guys encountered people who were dealing with trauma, and trauma seems to be very much correlated with some of these paranormal incidents. So I just wanted what your perspective is on trauma and the paranormal.
Well, I kind of touched on that a little bit at the first. Like, your brain does not understand the difference between if you really see something or you think you see something. To your brain, it's all the same level of trauma. So the first step, I believe that what we want to do is to just provide that place where somebody can get it off their chest. Because the worst thing to do is when you suffer some sort of sighting or some sort of incident that you cannot, it goes against the entire fabric of your being. And when we do our stage presentations, we always like to talk about this. Everybody from birth to whatever age they are now has built a narrative in their head of how the world works. Like, what do they believe? What do they not believe? What's good? What's bad? What do they like? What do they dislike? And the moment you encounter something like I did in April of 2017 that doesn't fit into that mold, and your brain starts going, wait a second, this does not make sense because this is what I thought to be real. That is the trauma that we're talking about. And that's trauma that you will suffer, whether it's, the example that I like to give is, what if you spent your entire life being told that something was blue, and then you find out one day from an incredibly trusted source that it's actually green, and everybody on the planet has been lying to you. And you start asking people and they start going, oh yeah, we've been lying to you. We're all in on it. And it's actually green. The first time you encounter something that color that you thought was blue and is really green, you're going to have a moment there, because you're not going to be able to, because you're going to be like, that's blue, but no, it's green, but no, it's blue, but it's green. That's kind of like the trauma that you are encountering, because it's like, ghosts don't exist, but I just saw a ghost. Bigfoot doesn't exist, but I just saw Bigfoot. Aliens don't exist, but I'm seeing it with my eyes. It's a very disheartening experience to go through. And everybody who's had an experience probably had that type of moment where you literally start to question yourself. Like, am I truly crazy? Is this what's going on? But then you run into the evidence that it's not, that you really did see this thing. But the first step, like I'm saying, towards the recovery is acknowledging it. The first step is talking to somebody about it in a safe environment where they won't judge you. They won't criticize you. They give you that opportunity to talk and make you feel first that you're not alone. Because everybody who has had that experience, and I can speak from my own experience, there are moments, whether people will admit it or not, where you sit there by yourself and you start going, did I really see that? No, I couldn't have really seen. Could I have? And it's because you're alone. The moment what got me through some of it was when I saw things with Gwen that Marianne talked about. And I'm like, did I really see that? And Gwen's like, well, if you didn't, then why did I see it? And we were both together and had this sighting that we saw when we were standing next to each other. But that's that first step towards healing that trauma, is that acceptance of, you really did see something. And that starts with being able to talk about it. Now, what Marianne and I have done, like Gwen that I'm talking about, is actually a licensed hypnotherapist. So she actually helps us get these first responders, if they're dealing with that level of trauma, we use her to help find people in their area that they can talk to, that will be open to the idea of helping them negotiate those traumas. Because again, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to help people heal, help people move past it. Because if people can move past it, then we can gain understanding of it. If we can gain understanding of it, then we can really, as a group, move forward.
I mean, gotta say, I love that so much, because we don't talk enough about the role that the brain is playing in this whole thing. Because I was saying in the chat, the brain is that bouncer at the party that's going to decide who gets in and who is not even on the list. It is already, it has its purpose, and it's there to defend us and to keep us like in survival mode. So I love that you hit on that, because that's so important. So again, I just love this thing. Tonight has been fantastic. I'm so excited about this show.
And guess what, love? I'm getting a story to tell Marianne and Dave from another officer live on air right now. This is Officer Sean Blakely, formerly of the Wappingers Falls Police Department in New York. Happens to have been, well, he was on the wrestling team with me in high school, but he's 1 year behind me. He's class of 86, which tells you how old I am. So yeah, he said that, so he was training a rookie. They got called to the Grinnell Library for a person inside the library when it was closed at night. He and the rookie went, and they saw it through the window. They saw the person through the window. They gained access to the library and did a sweep of the entire building, and there was no one in there. Yeah, so that's when he started believing in it. So yeah, he's typing now. I don't know if he has any addition to that, but that was I believe, his first experience with the paranormal. And plus, I'm from the Hudson Valley in New York. So you guys know about the Hudson Valley UFO flap.
Yeah.
So you know about the Peekskill Police Department, Wappingers Falls Police Department, the state troopers there off of 84 in Connecticut. Leading in from New York State into Connecticut, where everyone was pulled over looking up. So so UFOs are very common among people that were in high school with me in the 80s that saw one. In fact, one of my classmates, her father was a police officer down in New Rochelle, but lived in Montrose, New York, which is where the high school is. And they were basically having a family barbecue and watched a big black triangle float on a Saturday afternoon, float over the high school. And I have 3 accounts of that black triangle from different people.
That's awesome. That's
you
awesome.
know, DJ, it's interesting that you've had so many encounters there back east. We did Pine Bush last year.
Oh,
we were in Pine Bush last year.
Yeah.
And I love that area. I mean, I'm from Jersey, but going upstate New York and seeing all that is just amazing. But a lot of, it's almost like a norm for police officers, first responders back east. But when you come out west, what we've noticed, they don't talk about it.
Really?
This is where the stigma comes in, that they might see something, but they're not talking. Maybe every once in a while they might. If they're retired, they might talk about it. But I just don't see a lot of officers out here in the West that are coming forward. It just seems like the East Coast, people are talking all over the place about sightings, law enforcement officers. So I don't know. I would love to see if we could do some type of research. What's the difference? Why is it almost a norm for back east to talk about these, but out west, it really isn't?
Go ahead, Dave. To go off of that officer that's giving you that story, if he could go to our website and there's a contact us, please contact us, because that's what we need. Is if we can talk with him, a retired officer from back east, maybe we can start working towards some of those answers that Marianne is talking about, of why in certain pockets right there in the Hudson Valley, it's become more, and it's similar to here with the reservations, where that area of the country, it's just a little bit more accepted. And maybe that's why those officers can come forward and talk about it. But it would be great if he could please contact us so that we can set up a time and talk and get your story down and kind of explain to you a little bit. Maybe we can work something out here where we can work together on getting to some of these answers.
I've just texted him that while you were talking. And yes, he was my teammate, so I can basically force him to contact you. My
like
high
we
school
were just
were very
talking
close.
about, getting connections, having different, having little pockets of UAP-PD back east. That would be fantastic. Sean might be our contact to maybe get some more officers from back east to contact us. That'd be great.
I will get on the phone with him. He's one of my very favorite. I have a lot of favorites from high school, but nice. I love Sean. He was a great teammate and just a great guy. And even though he could beat the hell out of me in wrestling, he really was fairly gentle with me. But anyway, well, he was 167 and I was 132 in high school. So there is like a 30-pound difference there. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So anyway, what was the other thing I was going to ask you guys? Can't remember now.
You were talking about doing a Bigfoot investigation.
Oh, I would love. Yeah. I really want to know if Marianne and Dave would do a Bigfoot outing together. Cause that sounds like that would be really cool.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That would be really cool. Wow. And I can up in Colorado here. So are you guys both still based in Arizona?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, two people that co-host with us fairly often on Cab are Sibylla Irwin of Texas, she's probably in her early 60s. She is an absolutely fearless Bigfoot investigator. I mean, goes out into areas by herself in her camper where Bigfoot's kind of like, slapping in the side. And Jim Myers owns Sasquatch Outpost in Bailey, Colorado. You've heard of him?
Good guy. I talked to him after I did my investigation up in Utah.
Okay, so perfect.
Great conversation with him. He's cool.
Yeah, and if you come through Colorado, make sure you contact me so I can come and have coffee with you if you pass through. But
Okay.
yeah, that might be a cool thing because I want to go out and do one with Jim also. Bigfoot is endlessly fascinating to me. So I gotta thank you guys. Let's go with our cabbie goodbyes, starting with Kevin. Are we doing? I think he's doing some Way of the Dragon stuff here. Hold on a minute, like water. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And now he's looking for his microphone. Is there a mute button here somewhere?
Oh, there we go. I had to unmute it. I have some
I
lag.
love his
Anyway,
pregnant
I want to
pauses.
thank you guys. That was very, very cool episode. I wanted to offer you a little bit of help. I don't know if you guys have a uniform system of documenting these things yet, but I would like to offer you a system that I use. It's a functional analysis model. We use it for documenting behavior. I think it would apply to Bigfoot because we're looking at something that obviously exhibits the behavior of an organism. So let me know if you're interested in that. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And you can let me know. I can connect you and Kevin through me. All right, Marianne?
That would be perfect. Yeah.
Akashi, Chris.
It has been such a pleasure to talk to you guys tonight. Marianne, so good to see you again. And I want you to have fun tonight. Dave, it's just been, I am so excited about this show. And if there's anything we can do, we got channels. I got my channel. We got Calling All Beings. We got ways of, getting people excited about this. Because I think that this is a great opportunity for people to get involved from different places, just like you guys did, your grassroots. This is a grassroots movement. So it's just been a very much a pleasure and can't wait to talk to you guys again. Let's do this again. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Debs.
Julia was saying in the chat that Dr. Keith Taylor did write a paper on what to do maybe for police officers who are encountering phenomenon, etc. But I was thinking, how cool would it be if in the future you guys could come back and we could do a panel with you guys and maybe Keith and maybe Ben Hansen and talk about what people could do and actually come up with a plan, like almost like a working show.
She's gonna put you guys away.
Great. That's what I need. Another job.
No, it wouldn't be like people say working meeting. It would be like that, where we actually come up with solutions, because I really am a fan of that. So, but thank you so much for coming and sharing. It's so brave for people to come forward who are in fields that are shrouded in secrecy about this topic, or people who have to deal with a lot of flack about it, so thank you so much for being brave enough and coming forward for us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And the last cabbie, me. So by the way, Sean did say he will contact you. He has a 0300 wake up for something, whatever he's doing tomorrow. He's also retired. He's like Dave, he's retired from PD, and like me, retired, but still working. So I
feel your pain.
Yeah, I know. And me too. Yeah, I know. Right. Like the weekends, it's like, oh my God, I get to rest. But I will, I'll put him in touch with you because I believe I have Marianne's number. If it's okay, I'll give Officer Blakely that. And if we do a roundtable, I'll get Brian King Sharp back, the former Atlanta police officer who is the host of Sasquatch Odyssey, I believe is the name of his podcast. So
Awesome.
Yeah, he's like you guys. He's speaking at conferences constantly. And that way you can get a little more Bigfoot perspective because he's in North Carolina too, and I believe he has something like 20 or 30 acres, and he's had activity on his property where he lives. So thank you very much. It really was an honor for you to, I know you guys have been on some very big shows I hope you do get a TV show because you deserve it, and I think the public would benefit from it. And we look forward to hosting you again, and I'll be in touch. Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for everything. Appreciate it.
It's an honor. Marianne and Dave, party people. All right. All of you there in the chat, Jules, you mods were absolutely awesome tonight. All of you, thank you for donating. Rose, we appreciate the super chat. We love you guys, and we will see you guys soon. All right. Peace out and one love.